This is a special update. Well, the polls open here across Grenada early Thursday morning as people vote in a referendum. And of course, this will decide whether or not the 1974 Constitution, which the island receiving on attaining political independence from Britain, should be changed. Across the nation, a historic event, Grenadians, people across the island, voting in this special referendum. On the line is a man who's been busy. He's taken some time out to be with us on the line for a few minutes. Supervisor of Election, Alex Phillip, welcome to our special edition. And what is the feedback you're getting in terms of people turnout this morning?
Thank you so much, Rob. Good morning, Grenada. Referendum Day, Grenada, 24th November. Let me just say, I'm going around in the polling station and things are going smoothly. The lines are not very long and persons can feel free to go. The wait wouldn't be long, and so far all, in most of the polling stations, I'm learning that about 15% average of the persons who are registered to vote would have already voted. So we expect things to improve as the day goes on.
Okay, as you mentioned that, because I went out early, my finger is still stained. It might be feel so for some time, but I noticed in some polling divisions, when the polls opened at 6, it was sparse turnout, but it seemed to be picking up in other areas in other polling divisions.
That's true, because in some areas, as I would have mentioned, we have lines, and generally we have a consistent persons are coming consistently.
Okay, and right, and you're getting reports that it's orderly, no incidents or anything?
No incidents so far.
Okay.
They're going very, very smooth.
And the polls close at what time?
The polls, they'll close at 5.
Okay, and could you give us...
Persons are in the line at 5.
Yes.
We will accommodate them.
Right, yeah, I think, so that's standard procedure. If you're in the line at 5, the polls close, they allow you to vote.
Yes, we will.
All right. So across the nation, folks are voting. Could you give us an idea as to when we'll have a rough idea as to when we can have the final results?
Well, it's a system that we are testing, and so far it has let us down. So we are thinking that by 8 o'clock in the afternoon,
yes,
we are looking forward to having some form of results. Once the information will have come in from the outer parishes.
Okay, and roughly how many polling divisions across the Tri-Island State, Mr. Supervisor?
We have 272 polling stations.
Okay. 272 polling stations across the nation. Polling divisions open 6 this morning, closes at 5. And as you said, Supervisor, if there are people in the line at 5 this afternoon, they are accommodated.
Very much so.
Okay, I know you're a busy man. Thank you very much, Supervisor Alex Phillip, Supervisor of Elections.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share.
All right. Well, Grenada Decides. Thank you very much to Alex Phillip, Supervisor of Elections. People voting across the country this morning in this historic vote. And of course, some of the officials are saying, irrespective of how it goes, the country wins because of the magnitude, because of the importance of this. Remember, this is an activity which dates back for about 30 years, back in the 80s, mid-80s, when a lot of the consultations have been taking place. Climaxing on this day, November 24, historic day, when Grenadians are attempting to influence and change the constitution for the first time since independence, since gaining independence in 1974. Well, we have teams across the country, and they're going to be coming back with footage for us, and of course, interviews in terms of person's reaction. But our team went out this morning early. Leslie and Johnson Cornwall, they went out and into the western part of the island in the Prime Minister's constituency, and we caught him voting this morning, and we also asked him some questions.
I look forward to the people participating in this process. I think it's a new process for most people, and I think what is significant about this is that when one is expressing his wish in this referendum, you're not doing it just for partisan political interests. You're doing for what you believe is best for the country. So future generations are the ones who will benefit mostly from this, not necessarily those of us involved in the political life of the country at this time. So I think this is a great honor, and of course I continue to wish that everyone participate. And as I said in my national address, that whatever happens at the end of the day, I believe Grenada would have won. At least we would have at least gone through a process for the first time, and people understand the implications of whatever the vote results come out of this. I think it would be something that all of us should be proud of. In other words, Grenada would win no matter what the result is going to be.
Having voted, what would remain in your memory from now on?
Well, I think what clearly in my memory is that I wanted to see us look at what governs our country and recognize that as constitutions that we operate on with, we have to realize that they are significant in what happens in our country, because the laws and the judges and the courts are going to make decisions based on what exists. And as we move on in our own sphere of life, as countries have done over the years, constitutions are made for a particular period. They're not like the biblical words, which should not change. But certainly they are for the time. And therefore, as we move forward, we have to examine and make changes as we see fit. And therefore, the only way in which we can do so is by referendum in our case, and major decisions. And therefore, what I would remember about this is an opportunity to create a better condition for decision making in the country. In other words, our people should be better off if some of these changes come forward as far as the referendum is concerned.
All right, you spoke recently with members of the OAS delegation. What are you picking up in terms of their sense of the feeling of this process?
Well, I think they are happy to have participated in helping us in dealing with this process. And they want to observe, because I think they see it as what lessons they can learn from this exercise here in terms of what may happen in other countries. Because they're observers, they're not here. Unfortunately, there's a perception that some of the international organizations are here to tell us what to do, to impose certain of their style of governance on us. That is extremely false, because they have never attempted, no one has ever attempted to influence Grenada or myself or anyone in government out, I'm pretty sure in the country, to make decisions based on what they think. They are here to support our process. Whatever decisions that we make, they're here to help us and to provide as a catalyst for decision making, not to influence any particular decision that we make.
Right, and you've consistently spoken about all the bills, but more so bills 1, 2, and 5.
All right, that's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell speaking to reporters this morning, just after casting his ballot as the nation voting this morning in this national referendum. Now, and just to recap, earlier we spoke to the supervisor of election, and he said that so far it's about 15% of the eligible persons would have cast ballots so far, as it's just about 10 o'clock Eastern Caribbean time. The thinking is good going so far. Polling divisions, 272 polling divisions, opened at 6 o'clock this morning, closed at 5 this afternoon. And he's basically saying that in some polling divisions, the line was long, and the line was short in other polling divisions. So we'll keep you updated throughout the day. We have another report coming up for you around 12 o'clock. Teams in the field bringing back information and footage that we will bring to you. And of course, at 5 o'clock Eastern Caribbean time, we're live on our countdown special as Grenada Decides.